Hey, this is J-Mac of Fourth Quarter Entertainment. We're here in my studio. Please stay tuned for Behind the Boards.
What's up, everybody? This is your girl, the Queen Curator, back again for a new series called Behind the Boards with producers that I feel like are amazing that you should be listening to. Today, our first episode is with my great friend, John McCall, aka J-Mac the producer, better known as J-Mac, right?
Yeah, that's perfect.
How are you doing?
Good, how about you?
Good. Oh my gosh, this is the dog, Charlie. Everybody say hi to Charlie. Charlie's gotta go. This is it, right here.
Yeah, this is it. I had a lot more gear 4 years ago or 5 years ago when we met than I do now, but literally the music comes out the exact same, and I realized that over time I didn't need a lot of the stuff that I had that, you know, may look cool or might be a name brand, but it wasn't necessary to make what I was trying to make.
Right. So there's no MPC.
No MPC. I've never had an MPC.
That's crazy.
I think it's because I started out on FL Studio and I didn't even have a MIDI keyboard when I first started. But I literally knew nothing about music production when I first started. So everything I have now is from years of practice, I guess you could say. Once I learned how to once I got into sampling and I learned how to chop samples and I realized that I could do the chops on the keyboard, I just never got an MPC, not because they're not great, but because I just figured I could use.
That's kind of cool because I thought you would probably have like this whole like.
Yeah, especially like when you listen to a lot of people. When I had a lot of my when I did a lot more boom bap than I do now, which I love boom bap, but when I did a lot more of that than I did now, the chops, I tried to mimic how I heard my favorite producers chop samples, but then just do it on the keyboard. So a lot of people would be like, oh man, what kind of MPC do you use?
Right.
And I'd be like, oh, I don't. And then it would be like, well, how do you chop your samples?
So I know that your favorite producer is Just Blaze.
Yes.
And your second is Nice, right?
Wonder, yeah. Third is Pharrell, if we want to go with
okay,
third.
cool, yeah. Give me one more.
Dr. Dre.
So you don't do beat battles anymore.
No.
And specifically, why is that exactly?
You can always get more out of any networking opportunity. But at the time, I felt like I had gotten the most I could get out of the beat battle circuit, so to speak. And I just wanted to focus on making songs. Because at the time, I realized that I had a ton of beats and no songs. Or, I mean, I had a few songs, but it wasn't anything that I could just go like, I have a catalog of records and show off. The coolest thing about beat battles, and I still love going to them, like I love judging the ones that I judge for you. I think it's a great opportunity to network first and foremost. Secondly, it's a great opportunity to get a crowd, hopefully non-biased crowd's feedback on how they feel your music is. And third, to hear what other people that do what you do are doing or making, or do you feel like you're on their level yet? Do you feel like you've surpassed that? Do you feel like there's things that they do that you've always wondered how to do it? This is a song that my friend Focus and I are doing. It's going to be the single on our project Vibes Are Eternal. Nice. Shameless plug. He calls me and he says, hey man, you know, I really want to try to achieve that 90s R&B feel. Like, I really want to, he was like, I'm going to send you a bunch of songs. So he sends me a bunch of songs to think about sampling or whatever, and he sends me this famous record by SWV, You're Always on My Mind. So he sends me this, and I listened to it for a while, and I got the video.
Bro, when I heard that you chopped Always on My Mind, I'm like,
so,
really?
So I was listening, and it took me forever, actually.
Really?
Well, it took me a week of just listening to the song before I could decide what I wanted to do. So I'm listening and I'm like, okay, I like all that, but like I don't know how I would turn it into a beat without like just looping it or whatever. Okay.
There it is.
Okay, so
Right
there's
there.
this break. So I'm listening, and I was like, okay, the open part with no bass, no like bottom end drums is cool.
That is so cool.
I took it and I chopped it up. I made this in Los Angeles in my friend's apartment because I was waiting on a meeting, and Focus called me like, are you done with the SWV thing yet? And I was like, nah. He's like, when do you think you'll get to it?
Do you always remember where you make beats?
Yeah, usually. I didn't have my keyboard. I had this drum, like micro mini drum pad, Native Instruments thing that my man DJ Paradigm had. Shout out to DJ Paradigm. He let me hold it for the weekend. But the first thing I did was just chop the sample up, and I just got this loop over and over that I had chopped, and just like it kind of got me in like a, for lack of a better term, a Drake vibe. Like Western Road Flows is kind of the vibe that Focus wanted to go for. So then I was like, all right, let me just find like literally a loop from the record. So and I took the initially like it's like pretty loud with the vocals. So I was trying a lot of high end, but I was like, that doesn't leave Focus a lot of room. So I just took the EQ and just like kind of took the top off a little bit. I start out with a drum set, even though a lot of times I don't end up using it.
Okay.
So I was like looking for like a hi-hat, just like a hi-hat, like a groove to go to kind of match the record. So tried to kind of like duplicate the vibe of the drums in the regular record.
Yeah.
And just kind of let it run, then kick. So then I just kind of, from there I always just try to find.
This is just like mind blowing. I just can't understand how you just do this a couple clicks and.
Oh, it's years of
practice. I know that it's probably.
Yeah, it's like anything else. I mean, like you're like, oh man, how can Steph Curry shoot threes so good? It's like, he practiced for years. I mean, so from there I just like try to find snares that I like. So I try to get just some snares that really kind of pop through the record, which is easier when there's no snare in the record because sometimes they can kind of cancel each other out. So since this was the loop that didn't have the heavy drums in it, it kind of opened the section up for the snare.
Okay.
But
gotcha.
This time, I like get the sub or the bass line together, but I was like really feeling like a synth would be really cool. And like I said, I didn't have my keyboard at the time, so like, well, hold on. So before. Just something like real heavy that wouldn't normally be in like in a regular R&B record.
So after hours of playing around with this, you came up with what?
Sugar-coated and highly devoted. And just think a couple years ago you didn't notice. I had a fucking bus pass, called a nigga bogus. Caught a case when I was young and couldn't push the Lotus. You saw the real me before the real me. And for that, you never will see your pockets empty. I never slack, keep you cuffed, pocket stuff, steam ravioli. T-much, reach your dreams, matching diamond rollies. Presidential shit, I'm on some mental shit. This game will end you quick. You catch a lick, here come the vultures. Man, that's just the culture. Cop some signs for the times, but I light as ultra. And you're always on my mind,
Well, you are the first producer on Behind the Boards, so thank you for being on the show. And stay tuned for the next episode of Behind the Boards with your girl, Krista Taylor, the Queen Curator. Your life and your music. Okay?
Awesome. Yeah.
So we're going to go ahead and get started.
Sounds wonderful.
I don't even like how this is going so far, but I'm gonna keep going. That's fine.
Just cut it. Just
Okay.
cut it.
All right. So this is where you work.
This is it. Yeah.